Welcome guys, to the first set of videos on my channel. I am going to tell you about one of the best book series that GW ever gave to us. I am of course talking about the Gotreck and Filix book series. In this episode, I will cover the first 2 chapters of the first book, Troll Slayer. This is not a full reading of the books, it's more like a summary and review of the books with my opinion put into it. So if you want the full experience, read the books. They are really good, especially the audiobooks. And before we start in this incredible journey, be warned that it will contain spoilers, obviously. And if you want the complete and full experience, read the books before coming to check these videos. And if you like what you see, please comment down below about other books I should talk in my channel and your favorite plot points in this video. And of course, without spoilers to future books of the series. In the future, I intend to also talk about 40K books, starting with the most coward and amazing commissar that ever served is Holy Grace the Emperor. So if you like these ideas and want to show your support, please give a like and subscribe for more reviews and content. So without more to say, let's get on with the video. So starting in a dark wood, 2 outlaws, a man and a dwarf, walk along the trail. In the most cursed night, Geheimnisnacht, they also are great heroes in the making, fated to save the world. But in that moment, only one question hang over their minds: a place to sleep and something strong to drink. Well, it is not true that that's the only thing in their minds. Felix Jagger, the tallest of the toe figures, is cursing his luck as usual. Why has he pledged to follow and record the death of this crazy dwarf? Slayers whose only purpose in life is to find a wordy doom to eradicate is shame. Well, as most of us can confirm, promises and actions taken under the influence of a considerate amount of alcohol, after the effect passes, tend to not look so good. And Felix, as made mother of all plagues, will drunk with Gotreck to record his death in a poem. Yeah, you heard me right. This poet, who right now is 20-something, as swore to record the death of this almost immortal dwarf warrior while he seeks his death. So please make your death pledges before you drink. If nothing else, this is an important lesson to remember. So moving on, these 2 almost beggars are roaming along the trail when a black chariot strolls along and almost hits our heroes. Gotreck understandably is mad and wants to chop the driver after all his throat and axe are dry, what is never a good combination. So they give chase and lose the chariot into the woods. Well, with his prey gone, Gotreck gives a roar and challenge every creature to come and taste his axe none show. Well, I can't blame them. If I was in the woods and hear something like the roar of Gotreck, I would run in the opposite direction. So our valiant, thirsty and tired heroes, mainly Felix, because Gotreck can and has walked for many days straight before meeting Felix. This just to show the beast that is Gotreck. So they reach a small tavern, where after Gotreck tried to chop the door down because the owner thought they were demons and refused them entrance, Felix step up and talk the owner into let them enter. Once inside, after a reasonable amount of drinking by Gotreck and some questioning by Felix, they learn that the black chariot who passed by them is involved in some kind of ritual in the forest, and the owner's son has gone missing. So they go back into the forest to try to find these cultists and the missing son. And of course, a mighty doom. Once they found them, they discover it was a ritual to Slaanesh, the Prince of Pleasure, and one of the 4 Chaos Gods. And as the name implicates, you can imagine the kind of ritual being performed. So our brave heroes go and do their thing, which is Felix barely able to kill 2 of the mutants, while Gotreck is killing 5 at every swing with his powerful axe. After everything is said and done, they found that one of the mutants is the missing son. So they do the heroic thing and get out of there without telling the tavern owner the fate of his son. But they eventually find out after a guard patrol encounters the remains of the fight and deems everything as part of the ritual. And what ritual it was. It appears like they summoned a demon who killed them brutally with an axe. What a demon it must have been. Truly horrific. After 1 year in this particular routine of Gotreck trying to find something wordy enough to give him his doom, and Felix trying to stay alive to recorded it, the pair of heroes end up in a tavern with a friend of Gotreck who tells him about a huge treasure guarded by the biggest, meanest troll in Carrick. 8 picks beneath the World Edge Mountains. Well, this can only be my speculation, but if I has drinking and paying Gotreck's ale, I also wanted him out of my sight before he drank everything. So what better way to take a slayer out of your hair than tell him about a huge monster? Obviously being human and a bit more rational than Gotreck, Felix figured out as much. I tried to persuade Gotreck that it was all lies, but a dwarf with the gold lust awake is next to impossible to persuade. So there they went, in the direction of the World Edge Mountains to find the treasure or die trying. So in the beginning of their journey, they set out of the Empire in direction to the Border Princes, a land of warlords in the way of the World Edge Mountains. In a normal trade station along the way, our friend Felix is trying to have a bit of an heroic moment, trying to save a girl from 3 big men. Well, while this gesture seems the kind of vanilla hero of any fantasy book, you might start to think that Felix is just the lame sidekick of Gotreck. You couldn't be more wrong. Felix is one, if not the best chick clapper and insane survivor of the old world. Proof he lived enough to write the tale of this insane, suicidal dwarf. But back to the point, after Felix intervened, he was beaten up and threatened of our word by one of the man. And I'm not exaggerating, it's in the book, but like on cue, Gotreck shows up and intervenes. 2 of the man, not being as drunk as the 3rd guy back of, and the last one, thought it was a good idea to try to measure strength with a dwarf slayer, and that went as good as you think. The guy only left with his arm because Gotreck had a more important business to attend with his ale. After that lovely interaction, Felix tried to get better acquainted with that young girl, and that went as good as expected. He trying to get a job as a mercenary in her caravan to stay as close to her as possible. You can say what you want about Felix being coward or whatever, but he always was the best Sigma male in Warhammer Fantasy. Okay, but once again, back to the point, he convinces Gotreck to enroll in this job, as it is on their way anyway. So, turns up that the noble in charge of the caravan is Curse or something, and that usually means that shit is eventually to go down. And it goes pretty fast. Like they get attacked by goblins and undead. But in the meantime, our boy Felix gets the girl. Nice? But starts to have the most disloyal thoughts of leaving his suicidal dwarf friend, who probably will get him killed in the long run, to stay and raise a family with this beautiful girl in a new village. Me personally would prefer to stay with the lady and live a non-suicidal life with her. But the Brotherhood won in the end. Just joking. If Felix had a choice, he would have stayed with the girl and clapped her chicks for life. But, as I told you before, shit hits the van and hits pretty hard. Like, one night, the settlement they made goes under siege by a gigantic horde of goblins. And during the siege, Felix's girl is killed by the mad nephew of the noble, who is trying to make the curse come to life. Our friend Felix, naturally, is pretty upset that the girl he loved is dead and seeks to kill the nephew, who, by the way, is being empowered by chaos in a small way, but empowered nonetheless. So our friend Felix kills him after a big and intense combat. After the first instance that Felix may be a beast, kinda, he goes outside to see what had happened with the siege. He found Gotreck atop of a pile of goblin and orc bodies resting and missing an eye. I have read most of the books of the Gotreck and Felix series, and I can say that I don't know how a few hundreds of greenskins could do this amount of damage to a guy who almost solo a demon of corny. But we all agree that Gotreck with an eye patch is a lot cooler than without the eye patch. Well, is the end of this video. Please like and subscribe if you liked, and please tell me the best moment of this first 2 chapters, in your opinion. I am sure that I missed some good moments or something, but this is a tiny part, and if you want all the sauce, please read the book. Peace, my Sigmarite brothers.